Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Hey everyone, welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We got a great show planned for you as usual. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM and on CKLU.ca, radio and online. Online, you just click on the Radio Player Canada app. Apparently, if you have Firefox, the Firefox browser, and it would work like nobody's business. If you have Edge or you have Google Chrome, or you have whatever the Safari, it probably won't work for you. But if you have Firefox, works like a charm. Maybe some of your settings on some of those other browsers, it'll work. But I've had the darndest time trying to listen on those browsers online, anyways, with the Radio Player Canada app, just streaming it. I'm sure if you download the Radio Player Canada app, you'd be able to use it a lot easier, and so you can do that to listen to this program and other programs from CKLU. You just go to CKLU.ca, check out the great programming that is there and the schedule. And also, while you're there, check out the store. Grab a t-shirt, grab a mug, grab something to help support CKLU, our campus and community radio station. Been around since 1984, and we're grateful to be on CKLU. I've been kind of surprised lately with a few different people coming out of left field or whatever saying, "Oh, I heard your show," and I'm still grateful that people scan the radio, like they just, instead of going right to the radio station they know about, they'll scan and they'll just go through. That's what I do, because you never know what you're going to catch. And I think we catch a lot of people in the morning who are just scanning through and like, oh, this guy's talking. We'll just take a listen and see what's up. And then I'm sure some people think, wow, this is pretty crazy stuff. And other people say, wow, this is something that I, haven't heard on the radio, and I'm kind of on board with what's being spoken about, because we do live in a very kind of polarized world. We tend to deliver a lot of information that you won't hear on mainstream media on the show. So it's interesting. I'm sure a lot of people are like, what's going on here? I haven't heard this kind of stuff on the radio before. And I think, it's really great to just see different people that I know and some people that I don't know saying that they appreciate the show. I'm sure maybe there's other people who don't, like I said, because we live in a polarized world, and maybe they just don't say anything if they don't like some of the content that's on here. But we like to give a different perspective than mainstream media, because this is the only place you're going to get it on a public radio kind of thing. So we're thankful that we have this opportunity. We're grateful for CKLU for affording us this opportunity as volunteers to come on and do the show, and the different platforms like YouTube, like Facebook, and Twitter, now X. And that's where you can find all the shows on demand after the live show, along with Sudbury.news, which is our local news aggregator, all the local news in one location for everyone. And we are also live on Facebook.com/Sudbury News, YouTube.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow those platforms. Mainly comment, because this is your conversation on your station every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30. So let's get the ball rolling. We got Billy right beside me ready to chime in. We have a Nick ready to come on and have a discussion today on all the hot topics going on in and around Sudbury and area, and our world. So we're always grateful to have them along with you to have this discussion. So we'll be back right after the weather with news headlines, Billy and Nick, your comments, and more right after this. And Sudbury weather brought to you by DuckCheck. DuckCheck.com, and they provide services of bringing you clean air inside your home through cleaning your duct work, making sure that if the ducts aren't clean and purified in your home, then there's probably a good chance you're not breathing clean air. And how important is breathing clean air? If you can actually do something about the quality of the air that you breathe, your home is the best place to make that happen. And so give DuckCheck a call at 705-918-4848 or duckcheck.com. So your weather, currently it is 17 degrees, partly cloudy out there. Today we can expect it to be sunny, high of 25 with the humidex 30. So it's going to be warm, very hot actually. Tonight, clear with a low of 15. Friday, a mix of sun and cloud, 30% chance of showers in the afternoon, and the high will be 27. Humidex will feel like 32. So again, Friday, 30% chance of showers. That means a 70% chance that we won't have showers, high of 27. Again, 30% chance of showers for the next 4 days. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Saturday, 28 degrees. And 26 degrees on Sunday, Monday 25 degrees, 23 on Tuesday, cloudy, Wednesday cloudy with 21 degrees. So a lot of clouds in the forecast. However, as you can see today, it's sunny from our satellite. 6 a.m. it was taken, so we're going to have a sunny day today, and then some clouds apparently will develop. And just enjoy the nice weather while we have it. That's your Sudbury weather. Brought to you by DuckCheck, serving Greater Sudbury, Huntsville, the Muskoka area, Perry Sound. Call them for anything to do with ductwork and inspection, and let them know that we sent you, and you'll get $100 off your duct cleaning and inspection. We'll be back with your comments, news headlines, and more right after this. Now, we do have a bit of a sports announcement here for everybody. It's not every day that we have one, so we definitely want to announce this. This came out yesterday afternoon. The Sudbury Wolves announced 2 assistant coaches along with their head coach that they've already announced. So here you go. Drake Barahowski, you should know that name, and Andrew Desjardins, you should also know that name as well, have been hired as the club's assistant coaches heading into the 2024-25 season. Rob Papineau says he's very excited to add both Drake and Andrew to the Sudbury Wolves staff. And Drake came in at the end of last season and really connected with our players, especially our defensemen. His experience playing and coaching will greatly benefit our players and team. He's a great person who has a hard work ethic and believes strongly in players being accountable to each other and the team first. And Andrew Desjardins is fresh off an outstanding career where he went from an undrafted player to a Stanley Cup champion. His passion for the game and commitment to hard work and buying into the team's culture and systems allowed him to be a great pro and team leader everywhere he played. We strongly believe our players and our program are in great shape with adding Scott and Drake, Andrew, and Michael to make up our coaching staff. And you know what? I agree with Rob Papineau on that one. And I think they're beginning to build a team, starting with the foundation of coaching that will then lead to more of a competitive team and hopefully go all the way. So looking forward to a great season this season with the Sudbury Wolves. And with that, looking forward to a great conversation with Billy, who's in the studio. Billy, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks.
Great. You you'll be at a lot of the Sudbury Wolves games more than likely. What are your thoughts on? Do you sense anything that they want to kind of turn a new leaf and go for gold type of thing?
I get a sense it's a new era. Obviously, a new era with these big changes. So, I think, yeah. Well, we'll go all the way and see what happens.
Can you imagine winning a championship in Sudbury, like Sudbury Wolves?
Yeah.
Do you remember
Well,
the
they're the
last time
team
we
of
did that?
surprises. So, if everybody's kind of thinking, this is a building year, this could be the year that it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, in building years, usually you got to wait a while for things to kind of ramp up. But you don't have much time in the OHL to build because the players are there and gone already because it's just a development type of a league, getting you ready for the NHL type of thing, right? So it'll be very interesting, and we'll talk about the new arena. Apparently, let's see here. There's a consultancy group that was hired to look after City awards single source contract for events center advisor. The downtown Sudbury Arena Event Center project was inched forward with a bit further Tuesday, with City Council awarding a contract of up to $200,000 for a project advisor. KKR advisors are just what their name implies. Interesting. Okay. City Growth and Infrastructure General Manager Tony Security told City Council and will serve as advisors for the $200 million project. Among their roles will be analyzing existing information to help determine a potential specific location within a few blocks of the city's downtown core. And Natalie Labby says that will maximize adjacent economic development opportunities. The near unanimous vote of City Council included dissenting votes, by Ward 7 Councillor Natalie Labby, Ward 11 Councillor Bill Leduc, and Ward 5 Councillor Mike Parent, who expressed concerns about going with a single source contract for fairness and transparency. So I tried reading ahead. Usually I try to see who's giving the quote, but the quote was from Tony Security. And no, Natalie Labby, Bill Leduc, Mike Parent thought there should be, other consultants as well. So that way there's a little more fairness and transparency.
I think that checks out.
Yeah, I think that would be great to have fairness and transparency. That's what I'm all about anyways.
Yeah. Well, I've come to trust those names, so...
Yeah, it seems to be, right?
They have a lot of weight.
100%, yeah. So kudos to Natalie, Mike, and Bill for at least, standing up for transparency and fairness. And, I don't know the ins and outs of hiring one kind of advisor group and not having multiple, or what the ins and outs are, or the good, bad, and the ugly are of that. But yeah, it seems like they're at least standing up for things and not just going with the crowd. So, and with that, good morning, Vin. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a good morning. Judy as well. Good morning to you, Monique. Good morning, Sudbury, with a sunshine emoji, and that's what we're getting today in terms of weather. Good morning, David. Take care, stay safe. You as well. And Evelyn, good morning. Evelyn just was building on her property, built a sleep camp just recently.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Joins us most mornings when she's not hard at work. And Nick, good morning to you. I think you said you're going to be joining us after the weather, but you're on here anyways, commenting. If you're on, you're on. If you're not, we'll do what we can anyways to hold down the fort, but more than welcome to jump on, and it'd be great to have you on. Mm-hmm. Belinda says, good morning. Everyone who does evil hates the light and does not come into the light for fear that their deeds may be exposed. When it comes time to separate the wheat from the chaff or the tares, be the wheat. Now, if anyone's not familiar with that, saying, it's biblical, and it talks about a time where God will separate, just like a farmer. Wheat and tares, or wheat and chaff, look very similar. You almost can't tell them apart with your naked eye. But one is food and one's like a weed. And so there's in the Bible, God speaks about a time where he's going to separate the fake from the real, if you will. And so Belinda's saying, what? Just be the real, not the fake, and you'll be fine, kind of thing. And you can kind of see in terms of that, you can kind of see some of our society doing that in a way. Some people are everything's kind of dividing, and people are kind of on one side or another. And I talked about that a little bit earlier on the show about being polarized. And you can kind of see a little bit of that going on in terms of what people stand for anyways, or what people think, like the foundation of their core beliefs kind of thing. Do you notice the same thing?
Yeah, I see that kind of in, I guess, the general evolution of things. There's a certain evolution, and then there's a point where there's like a bit of a jump, and then it's like things on this side go here, things on this side go here. And I think, I kind of, delve into a lot of the new agey stuff, and they talk about, the earth being a living organism, and it's about to do like an evolution. So there is, the things that exist kind of like on the same frequency as the earth will stay in that dimension, then otherwise you got to kind of split your dimensions. Some will exist here, some exist here. Mm-hmm. That's, so I guess there's probably overlays in all the different old writings. They'll kind of speak of that kind of idea, and I think it kind of exists in nature too. So
yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think the earth is evolving and transforming, and those that will inhabit it kind of have to transform along with it. Am I on the right track here a little bit? Like nature and the earth kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be like your human body has all these, trillions of little organisms and cells and stuff. And there's a certain, things that are good for you and are good for it will continue if there's behaviors, I don't know.
Yeah.
How to describe that, but you might see disease as a manifestation of things that are not symbiotically healthy for each party.
Exactly. Yes. And so good things in store for those that, are, I guess, being the wheat, being real and, following principles that are conducive to life and not death. Maybe you say good and not evil, things like that. You know what I mean? Having respect for the land, having respect for people, having respect for yourself, and being a contributing positive force in the world kind of thing. And I think then you become part of the way the world is transforming in that positive way. I guess we're speaking on some deep things, and we're trying to keep it
totally local news here.
Yeah, totally local news. Yeah. So anyways, but that's where we go, and we're not afraid to do it each and every day. So good morning to Marianne, everyone, from Drenched Berry. Oh, you're still getting the rain down there. Oh my goodness. Hopefully you get some sun. Looks like we're getting some sun today. Liked and shared as usual, Marianne. And Judy says, good morning, Billy and a Nick. So when a Nick comes on, hopefully she'll be joining us. I believe I have her. It's ready for her to come on whenever she's coming. So yes, the same thing. Belinda says, good morning, Billy and a Nick. Blessings, everyone. Denise, Vin says, and good morning, Denise, by the way. Vin says, had the unfortunate experience of witnessing my first maid interview for a close friend the other day. Knowing the physical attributes of the actual process, as we talked about on the show, Jordan Peterson had a guest on who found out the medications they give before to paralyze us, to kind of sedate us, and then the actual drug they give us to kind of send us on our way to the other side is a little more macabre than we thought. So the lady was saying that the drug they actually use causes us to drown inside in our lungs. And so it's a horrific experience. But because they've given you this massive sedative that paralyzes you beforehand, you're not able to tell anyone that you're in discomfort or anything. And so it's horrific for the people. So again, right, we all thought this was a very peaceful way to send our loved ones on to the other side. But apparently it's not as surreal as we've been told. And so, yeah, you've witnessed, you went through the meeting with a friend about this, and it hit me pretty hard. Had to accept my friend's decision, no matter how it affected me, still struggling. And that's something we don't really talk about too much with those that choose that method of their demise, of their death, of their, expiration. I don't know what words can you come up. Their own death. Like it's not a natural death. It's a chosen death that's helped by doctors. And I know, Billy, you have some strong feelings about this as well. So, but we don't really talk about the family and the struggles that they have too much, because it is the individual's decision along with the doctors, right?
Yeah. And it is what they want, so, and they are given options, and that would be extremely concerning to think that, with the technology that we have, that there wouldn't be like the most absolute peaceful, least suffering way to do it. So, and that's something I could get, to really advocate for, is that kind of peaceful. I think it's still something that I would prefer to live in a world where we have that choice. It could go really dark if you don't get that choice. So,
well, to me, again, I really appreciate that as well. However, do you feel that maybe it should be more transparent about the type of drugs and how the process could possibly be?
Yeah.
So that way they're going in educated, knowing that they're going to possibly have a horrific experience. At least explain it to them. Don't tell them it's horrific or whatever. Just say, this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then they can make a more educated choice.
Yes. And I'm totally with you. There's probably a lot of just bean counters looking at, the savings that could happen if this many people check out, and and they'd be probably encouraging that, doing a little bit of a soft encouragement through different cultural, political maneuverings. But
100%.
Yeah. In general, when it comes down to like the bottom line, I would not want to see the pushback be so hard that they like absolutely outlaw it and ban it, and
I hear you. And again, I know it's a slippery slope. I knew when they first started talking about it, because you read books like Brave New World and 1984 and there's so many other examples of writers, movies and things that you can see the dark side. You can see if somebody takes this down the road, similar to Germany in the late 1930s, early 1940s, and we even see it in our own country now, where they wanted to expand it to mentally ill or people going through challenges, struggles like anxiety.
You got to watch that very carefully, because
minors, you know what I mean?
You've seen some definitions of mentally ill lately, and it's like,
exactly.
Whoa.
That the Online Harms Act. Someone could say, well, look, the way they're talking about this or that or the other, they must be mentally ill, and then. One law leads to another law, and there's usually just, you give somebody an inch or you open the door. And that's what I saw with the beginning of the MAID. I said, okay. They're saying, yeah, but it's just for people that are suffering. It's just for people that are terminal. I said, yeah, right now it is. But that just opened the door. And that's what we're seeing now. And I know that I could see the future, But yeah, just so now we're talking about the most vulnerable. And they use words. They wordsmith these things too. They say, well, we need to include the people that have mental illness and they're suffering. They're suffering. So they're being left out, and so we're discriminating against this population. So we have to allow them the opportunity, which is very, very sly and it's really, I would say, evil. I would say
Well,
that's an evil argument.
Maybe there might be evil intentions somewhere in the chain, but there's also, I think, very benevolent intentions. Like I bet you we could find some cases where you'd be like, okay, well, this is a situation where this person is just in, a hellish existence, and they want out. And I think that you could make a determination that, yeah, it seems like pretty.
But what leads to it is a broken medical system too, right?
That's right. You got to address that on another front as well. Like address all these things.
Yeah.
But, to say, I think a lot of cases need that very individualized look instead of like a broad policy.
Yeah. Well,
so you allow for things, but you don't encourage
Oh yeah, that would have to be so guarded and so just. Mm-hmm. It's almost like there'd have to be, one a year or two a year, and it would have to be really looked into. But no, they're just offering it as if it's candy or something, and they're offering it before real help. So they're saying, well, it'll take 3 years for you to see somebody, and we're backed up, and there's a big list, and I know you're suffering now, but in a few weeks we can have MAID for you. Like, why is MAID so quick? But seeing a specialist is not. Like, how is that even possible?
No, I'm sure it's financial, probably.
Yeah, like really. But we'll offer you death, and but yet real help. Like you could actually live a vibrant life if you were to see a specialist, someone who can prescribe a proper medication, listen to you, counsel you, give you some suggestions. Be a confidant for you. Put you into a network of peers that. Like we have NISA here in town, so it's a community. There's all kinds of things to do, but the lists are long, and there's not enough specialists. There's not enough people, and so you're offered that, quicker and cheaper, and I can get out of my suffering in a couple of weeks. Okay, I'll take it. That's a reflection of our society, by the way.
No, totally.
It's really not right at all.
Yeah. But I know a couple of people that have chosen that, and there was the one guy that was this kind of old coffee buddy that I had. His life had become such a corner, and now he's got choices between some pretty tough existences, and like you said, it's kind of like society did not, have a good. Well, I think maybe there's I don't want to. Such a touchy subject, but there was things he did not want to change about his lifestyle too. So there's lots of different minutia to this.
Well, Vin was saying with his friend, it was literally 2 interviews done by 2 doctors at 2 different times, and he was only present for the second interview. But it was literally only 10 minutes long. So which, to me is like, okay, in 10 minutes you determined whether I would qualify to kill myself along with the medical system's help. I don't know. To me, that's, again, telling about the whole thing. And I wish more people would talk about it and get it out in the open, along with the type of drugs they use to assist in the process, so people are informed. And again, transparency would really be something. What is the process? Because a lot of people just hear tidbits and they're like, oh yeah, no, they don't just pick anybody. Oh no, it's a very vetted process, and there's very few people who qualify. I hear that from people, right? But here we hear a little bit of something, a little bit the opposite of that.
I think it's the 3rd highest cause of death in Canada
already.
Does that sound?
I think I heard the same thing. 3rd highest. So if you look at causes of death in Canada on Google, you'll probably, or I don't even know if that would.
I'm going to double check that. Yeah. It was.
I did hear that.
Surprisingly high.
That's in the tens of thousands per year for sure. We are the highest in the world as well, with it. Read the article. Voted 9 for, 3 against. This is Marianne. So I believe that's talking about what we're talking about here. 9 for and 3 against. They do such a bad job of managing our taxes. I have no faith in how they manage this arena build. That's Belinda. And Monique, good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. You got the sunshine and the heart emoji. Much appreciated. Good morning, Monique. And Jerome, good morning, dynamic trio. Now, okay, so Nick, I misread her text, and I just glanced again, just like I did with that article with Natalie Labby. My apologies. So I just glanced and thought I could decipher it, and I saw, show and weather. And usually she says I'm on after the weather, but she says I won't be on the show. I'm feeling under the weather. So I apologize for that. She was going to come on today, but she is feeling under the weather. But she was watching, obviously. And so we have Bob on here. Billy has the morning mug of whiskey, I see. LOL. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It doesn't really smell like whiskey, so I wouldn't necessarily think it is. Marianne says 200 million is the cost, and they only have 65 million, so the rest falls on taxpayers. I wonder what this single contractor is actually getting paid. So that's about the arena again, right? $200 million arena right now. I swear, you can mark my words right now. I'll go back to this show. It won't be $200 million. That arena is going to be $400 million. I guarantee you, by the time it's built in 2028, look at inflation. Look at costs of everything. Look at labor shortages. Look at, you name it. You can tell just looking a bit into the future that this arena is going to cost a lot more than $200,000. Pat says, good morning with a sunshine emoji. And Kevin, good morning to my friends and family. Good morning, Kevin. I hope you're feeling good today. And Marianne says, I think it's sad they are willing to spend $200 million on a sports center when they could spend this kind of money helping the homeless, housing, roads, things that are way more important than a sports center. And you feel the same as many other people out there. I guarantee you. Also, yes, it's been raining here since late Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and in Barrie, that is. And now chiming in about MAID, the MAID procedure is horrific, and so is the organ removal. Consider not giving your organs upon death, or should I say just before you die. They will paralyze you with a drug, but you will feel all the pain of having your organs extracted. And so it is. Research. Interesting. So that would be painful. Yeah. So you get that paralytic drug that paralyzes you, whether it's MAID or it's organ donation. And then they don't give you the kind of drug that would numb your body from the pain. So you can't move, and everyone's thinking, oh yeah, it must be fine. They're not moving. They're not like showing they're in discomfort in any way, shape, or form, because that's because they're paralyzed. But they're not numb to it. They're paralyzed, but they're not numb. Whether it's drowning through MAID or it's feeling the pain through organ extraction for organ donations. Again, just needs to be looked into. Where's W5 when you need them? Things like this. Jerome says we had to accept my mother-in-law deciding on the use of MAID. Yes, very haunting and heartbreaking. And condolences to your friend and friend's family and yourself, Vin, and yourself, Jerome. It's with having loved ones and close relatives. I know many people who have gone through this. I know yourself, Billy. There's many people where it hits home with, and it's a thing. And like you said, did you find out if it's the third largest yet or no? Or
no, I didn't find anything past 21, but I think at 21 it said it was like the 6%, and then it went up 23% or 32%.
Yeah,
So,
no.
Anyway,
It is.
vague references so
It's
far.
huge. It's up there. I wouldn't doubt if it's the third largest cause
It's
of
ramped
death.
up for sure.
For sure. So yeah. So let's do a little bit. I'm just checking if anyone else. Oh, Miles here. Hey guys, I know this maid comes in very conscientiously in our nursing homes. Explain to families it's normal end of life counseling. Wow.
But the other side of that is, and that's something I've seen too, is we have the technology to keep these people alive for decades still, just kind of lying there hooked up to machines, and at what point do you say,
I know.
No,
I know. And again, right? So that's the whole, how it got started was, with these very issues. Here's terminal patient. They're in pain. You want to relieve them of the pain. It's inhumane to see them suffer and all of this. And I get that, but it's not just that now. It's really exploded into many, many more things. And Jerome's asking a question that I've also had is how much are doctors getting paid to promote it, first of all?
excellent question, yeah.
Or to get paid to do the procedure? We should know this. Again, all this should be known, but we live in a socialist system where everything is behind closed doors. Sure, free healthcare for everyone, but then it also creates a cloud of secrecy where it's not transparent, right? You go to a doctor in the United States, you know what something costs because they ask for your credit card. Well, your insurance too. So your insurance is going to cover some of it and not all of it, or not cover certain procedures. So you know the price, and they'll send you a bill and they'll say the doctor charged the insurance company this, and we covered this much of it. So now you owe the balance. And so you see all of these things very clear. In Canada, you don't see that. You don't know how much doctors are getting paid every time they swipe your health card. You have no idea.
And it looks like social engineering is done by what they incentivize for, financially incentivize. So, it is very easy to, and you can recognize that in COVID, how they kind of deal with it.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's probably one of those
Now, when
words that gets you deleted from YouTube.
So when you say back in the day when a doctor would say that your cause of death was what the pandemic was all about, we heard and saw that doctors in the United States, anyways, because things are transparent down there with insurance and stuff, they were paid $30,000 just for marking that as cause of death on the what is it called? The death certificate?
Death certificate?
Yeah. 30 grand because it's transparent. And then you can, whoa, what the heck's going on here? So it seemed like, why would they be paid $30,000 if it was true anyways? And they were going to put that on regardless. They knew if it was that and they put it on, but why would they have to be incentivized?
Well, that came out in Canada too. I'm pretty sure that hit the mainstream, that there was, a lot of COVID deaths that were non-COVID, or basically, a motorcycle accident tested, before he died and got a positive reading. So,
and we were hearing stories of people being shot, gang fights, shot, but they died of COVID, right? And why? Because it was allowed to happen. But this was going on in our society very recently. This was happening. And you have to ask yourself, what was going on? What was behind this payment to these doctors for putting that as cause of death? Like what? Okay, if you put the cause of death being cancer, you get $5,000. If you put the cause of death being natural, just a natural cause of death, you get $10,000. If you put the C word, you get $30,000. Like, why would you be paid anything to put a cause of death on a death certificate, right?
Well, yeah, I think they probably have an intentional desire to get higher numbers,
Well, okay, so you're making you're going as far as to at least try to make sense of it and try to find an answer. And so that's why they call people conspiracy theorists, Because you have to connect the dots. No one else is doing it. And these dots need to be connected. And we do have these questions. Why were they being paid $30,000 to put that on the death certificate, right? So now you've come out and said, well, it sounds like they wanted to kind of get the numbers up for some reason, and that's what they did. They paid
you can see
the
that
doctors
pattern,
off to do
the
that.
pattern through everything. Like when they test people, they would have that, always 2 weeks of after, if there was an injury after 2 weeks, it was in that window, it was considered a non-vaccinated.
Yes.
So they're always, it seems like there's an intentional, that was my personal take on it, that they were skewing the numbers at every angle.
Yeah,
so.
it's almost like if you're going to do a study, the study has to be done in an ethical way. But they were like moving the goalposts all the time for every stat in the favor of, oh no, this is terrible. It's increasing and people are dying. And, they were moving the goalposts to that narrative, to that direction, to be scared, be afraid, and all these things. And look at all these death certificates coming in saying COVID, but they didn't say, yeah, and that's because we're paying them $30,000 every time they kind of put their John Henry on there. John Hancock?
Yeah, I don't know.
They sign it. They sign off on it. And good morning, Nancy. She says, I bet they don't offer MAID to people in jail that are in there for life for many different reasons, but offer it to the public for less reasons. So that's interesting. Again, many people speculating who would be offered MAID and why. And Nana says, good morning to us and good morning to you as well, Nana. Hope you're having a great morning. So yeah, no, it's a hot topic. It's something that I almost want to devote a good chunk of my time to educating people because I really think it's an atrocity that's going on in our society. And if you put MAID and what we were just talking about together, and if it's coming from the same ideology or the same camp per se, now you really need to be a bit worried. And then if you add a couple other things to this, and then the evidence starts piling up that, wow, maybe there's some people out there that don't really like people. They just don't like people. They like themselves, but they don't like too many people out there, and they want to do something about it. And we've talked about that on the show quite a bit as well. That there's an ideology out there that the planet is too overpopulated, and there's been some really high-profile people come out and say that, too. Too many people living on the world, not enough food to go around.
Yeah, I think that's one of their things they call a good reason, but I still don't think it's the real reason. I think it has to do a lot more with, power, geopolitical power, and ultimately, the power of their gang. Everybody wants to rule the world. As the song
I've heard
goes.
that. Yeah, I've heard that from Tears for Fears. And I think you're right on that. Now, power, absolute power, what's the saying? Power corrupts absolutely?
Absolutely, yeah.
And absolute power, what?
Yeah, I don't buy into that. I think there's exceptions, but...
If you had absolute power, there have been people in history who've had absolute power and they've been virtuous leaders. There have been. Not very many, I have to say, though. There's been very few.
Yeah, the tests get more extreme as you get higher up.
Yeah. And I wanted to get to, it looks like a lot of people are commenting here today, and we really appreciate your comments, by the way. I'm doing my best to get them up on the screen, and as I see some that are, going along with what we're saying and whatever, I'll read them for those on the radio or streaming, but I'm getting them up on the screen for those watching on Facebook and YouTube, and then afterwards the shows live on demand on Facebook and YouTube, also on X, which is formerly Twitter, at twitter.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to go back. The conversation will continue though on facebook.com. That's where most of the comments come in anyways. There's a few on YouTube, but the conversation will continue on Facebook. So if you catch the show later and you have something to say and you want it, and all the people who are commenting on the show will see your comments, so it adds to the conversation. A lot of times people, bring really relevant information to the conversation, which is very educational for people, as we have a conversation to educate ourselves and to know that there's more people out there than just you that might feel some of these things that we talk about on the show, right? And with that, I know Belinda, which I really appreciate, she sent a few videos lately, and I was just like, wow, like just so impressed with the videos that I just wanted to share some of them on the show. But let's see if I can make this big, and I think I can. So this is one of the memes I think she sent along with videos, but I just thought it was interesting. We're speaking of leaders, and so we have a leader in our country, right? And they have a new doll out for him, and it's so you get an action figure, a Justin Trudeau action figure, and it's the climate change starter pack. So maybe we should save this for tomorrow's show. But anyways, the climate change starter pack, and it's got him there. It's got the logo of the party, and it has this thing that says includes lighter. So I know there's a lot of speculation out there as to, you know, the fires, and there's all these fires going on and whatever, but there is also a lot of arsonists found in these fires that the mainstream media hasn't really reported on all that great. And so I thought that was a humorous meme anyways to go along with that. But speaking of, you know, this whole MAID philosophy and stuff, Justin Trudeau was speaking at on a podcast or something the other day.
Okay.
But Tanner, who we've had featured on the show before, and Belinda sent me this video, it really shows Justin Trudeau's mindset about how he feels about older people. Miles talked about this is a regular conversation they have with people in long-term care facilities, end-of-life kind of counseling, right? But you can see where it's coming from, this ideology that at least Justin Trudeau has anyways, and I'm sure many, many more leaders in the world have. Let's listen into Tanner's take on it.
In case you think Justin Trudeau cares about you, he's here to tell you he doesn't. He doesn't care about you. Once you've outlived your usefulness to him, whatever that looks like, it looks like being young and being progressive, Trudeau tosses you in the trash and takes no care for your quality of life or your well-being whatsoever. Here he is talking about housing.
One of the things that always comes up for me is the idea that, you know, on housing, you have a whole bunch of older folks who are living in houses that are too much house for them right now, but their connection to neighborhood, to community means that no, they don't want to move out to the suburbs or to...
Sorry, what? You have older folks who are living in too much house for them right now? Is that what Trudeau just said? You have older folks who are living in too much house right now. Imagine it. You have worked all your life. You've worked very hard all your life. You've worked all your life to accumulate as much capital and as much wealth as possible so that in your retirement, in your later years, you are able to enjoy life. You are able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You are able to say, here's what I did with my time. Here is the wealth that I acquired using the skills that God gave me. And as a consequence, I have been blessed with, in this case, a house, a nice house. But then Justin Trudeau says, it's too much house for you. You're living in too large a house. You're living in too capitalist a house. You're living in a house that is built by freedom and by free enterprise, and that's just too much for you as an individual. You would have the audacity to use your money as you please. You would have the audacity to invest in a large home for your retirement. Oh, how dare you? How could you? The selfishness of you, the selfishness. Oh, the selfishness. As if Justin Trudeau and his other MPs don't live in the most luxurious of homes. As if Justin Trudeau's wealth hasn't skyrocketed since he took office 9 years ago. As if Justin Trudeau and his MPs aren't living high and luxurious lifestyles while they're in office. What a hypocrite. Too much house for you. Maybe Sussex is too much house for the Prime Minister. Maybe the House of Commons is too much house for Canadians. Maybe that house is far too large and needs to be trimmed up substantially, seriously, so that we could maybe return to a state of governance where policies are kept restrained instead of expanding at incredible rates, at devastating speed. Too much house.
Some different city to be closer to their grandkids. They want to still live in their community's quality of life. And there is no housing that they can afford even to downsize other than staying in their big house. So where you're actually working to increase the amount of apartments or senior assisted living centers in neighborhoods where people currently live in single family homes, that's a piece that you can actually, I don't know that goes directly at the animals challenge here, but it does start to look at the kinds of things that give you a way out that will eventually shift those numbers in a meaningful way.
Yeah, who knows what that means? Well, we know what it means. It means communism. Like Justin Trudeau hates homes, right? Justin Trudeau hates the individual home, the home that's been designed by a family. He hates the home because the home is a castle. The home is a demonstration of private property. The home is a demonstration of the individuality of man and the ingenuity of man. So he hates individual homes because it promotes individualism. It promotes family living. It promotes free enterprise. It promotes a life of freedom that says I can design my house the way I please. I don't need government. I can decorate my home the way I please. I don't need government. I can manicure my home, the front yard of my home, the backyard of my home, the way that I please. I don't need government. This is my own little castle. This is my own little retreat from big government's trespass into every other area of life. So Trudeau hates the home. That's why he wants to build condos. That's why he wants to build apartments. All of them looking exactly the same, all of them void of any ingenuity, all of them just a square, modern block, boring, banal, and uniform. It takes all individuality away. It says everyone is exactly the same. Everyone lives in exactly the same dwelling. Everyone, therefore, ought to be treated the same. Personalities are the same. Families are the same. Everything's the same. It's all the same. And it has to be like that for Trudeau because he's a socialist. When you're a socialist, you have to assume that every person is the same person. You have to assume that the entire society is identical in their desires, in what they want for goods and services, and so on and so on. Otherwise, you can't allocate the resources that you as a socialist control efficiently. You can't allocate them at all. You don't allocate them efficiently in any case. But nevertheless, if you assume that every individual is indeed an individual and unique, there's no chance at all of allocating resources, not a hope. So instead, you have to say everyone's exactly the same, and everyone's preferences are exactly the same. So we can give everyone exactly the same thing: one pencil, one pencil, one pencil, one pencil, or one pair of shoes, one pair of shoes, one pair of shoes for everyone, and treat it like it's fine.
Yeah, and again, we talk about the different forms of governance on the show: capitalism, socialism, communism, and it goes on and on with all the isms. But yeah, you can see he makes some good points here of how, he doesn't come right out and say it, but you can tell what he's saying. He's saying, like it's a problem to have these seniors kind of staying in their own homes, and they need to get out and get into long-term health facilities or, a condo or an apartment rather than be in these houses, right? And we do have a housing crisis. So it's like his government created a housing crisis with not enough homes, and then had an immigration policy which then exacerbated the housing crisis even more. And so now he's offering his socialist communist solution, which is true. If you look at old USSR back in the day, all these gray buildings with no personality to them whatsoever, just block upon block upon block of living quarters. I'm sure that would be his vision of Canada, because now it's needed. So now that's needed. You have to build fast, cheap, and get these people housed. And so what's it going to look like? It's going to look like that. He makes some good arguments there.
I got a cousin in Singapore, and she's got this kind of interesting story about the two buildings across her street, and they both look kind of identical, and one's filled with rich people and one's filled with quite poor people. But
Really?
I guess the rich people, you know, they have their own like nice apartments and stuff. And on the, you know, the poor side, they have apartments, but they have a system where they make meals kind of in the basement. They have kind of like a co-op system. They, you know, rotate who cooks and cleans and stuff like that. And again, they're both in this very centralized kind of setup, you know, and I think you can make the argument that the one sides probably have more community. You know, it is kind of fun getting together with people and eating and that kind of stuff. And the other side, you kind of live alone and you don't have a lot of opportunity for running into people. But that is only mildly related to what you were just talking about, but it just popped to mind. And
No, it is. And
so
I
there's
think,
something to be said for, you know, that. And I think with Trudeau, you know, like you said, you know, there's a bit of a possible problem reaction solution there. But, you know, at the same time, I think, you know, that is, I know a lot of people in that situation where they have a big house. They don't really want to be there. They want to go to a situation where they have a bit more community, maybe a little bit of assisted living, but, you know, downsizing to a 1-bedroom apartment from their 4-bedroom home is actually more expensive. It's like, well, I can't afford it. I have to stay
now
here.
it is. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But who caused that, right?
Yeah.
Who's behind that? And now you have that person trying to give the solution and sound like they're authoritative on how this whole process should look without taking any accountability. He's all relaxed. He got his legs crossed. He's like, someone should be blasting him in that chair right now and saying, you caused all this stuff. You know, some accountability. But anyways, that's all the time we got for the show today. Thanks, Billy, for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being on and for commenting and getting us on our conversation that was pretty great today. We really appreciate you. Appreciate all the listeners on who don't get a chance to actually comment. Thank you for listening. We'll be back same time, same place, God willing, tomorrow on the radio, online, and on these platforms. Have a wonderful day. Stay tuned for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Ciao, everyone.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.